Hello everyone, Vic here with another video talking about the Halloween franchise. Today we're doing Halloween Hot Takes Part 2. Now listen, I know that in the horror genre especially, sequels are almost never better than the original, but today I'm going to go down the route of Aliens, Terminator 2, Tremors 2, okay, I was naming sequels better than the original, but Tremors 2 doesn't qualify. So let's get into our Hot Takes Part 2 of the Halloween franchise. Number 1, okay, talking about the original Halloween 1978. I sometimes think what could have been done to prevent the events of that crazy night where Michael came home to Haddonfield and killed a couple people. What could have been done to prevent that within the story-wise. And on recent watches, a big thing that came to mind for me is that Laurie Strode is partly to blame for the entire nighttime massacre of her friends and the attempted murder on herself. Now listen, this is going to sound somewhat blasphemous. You're like, wait a minute. Laurie Strode, our amazing heroic hero and do-gooder from the first movie, setting the bar for all future final girls. How could she be in the wrong for the original Halloween? Well, I'm going to tell you right now, okay? Because the first half of the movie, once Michael sets his sights on Laurie, he's in the shadows, yes, but the truth is, for the first half of the movie, he's making himself very known to Laurie Strode. He's very visible. She looks out her classroom window. She sees Michael standing by the car looking ominously. She's in her bedroom. She looks out the window. She sees Michael Myers with the mask on, hanging out in the front yard. Laurie sees Michael throughout the day. She's walking from home from school. Who's standing by the bushes? Freaking Michael Myers with the mask on. Now listen. If you saw somebody with a mask looking at you like that once, that may set a red alarm off for anybody, a red flag, right? Just seeing a creepy dude in a mask. Now, maybe there's a pass there because it's Halloween. So Halloween, yes, people are wearing masks, but that's more about trick-or-treaters at nighttime or people going to Halloween parties. Usually in the morning time while you're in school looking outside the window, you're not going to see a guy with a mask standing by his car just staring at you. So all I'm saying is Michael gave Laurie plenty of time to take note of the idea some weird dude has been stalking me throughout the day. Now listen, I know it's 1978. Poor Laurie Strode maybe hasn't seen 1,000 horror movies. She hasn't, there's no VHS yet, so she hasn't rented horror movies every weekend like I used to do, so I get it. She gets kind of a pass here. But within the movie, it's not like there wasn't an opportunity for her to tell somebody, because within the movie, about halfway through, when her and Annie are on the way to babysit the kids, they stop off at the hardware store they got broken into, and who do they come in contact with? None other than Annie's father, Sheriff Brackett. Laurie's best friend, her father is the sheriff. She has a comfortability and access with the town sheriff, and she sees him here. He's saying that basically, hey, somebody broke in and took a mask and, whatever. It's like, man, Laurie, this is your chance to just tell Sheriff Brackett, hey, put the pieces together. Hey, a guy with a mask I've been seeing around town throughout the day, stalking me, looking at me in a crazy way. Just tell Sheriff Brackett. And then what happens? So much good happens for the rest of the day, because Sheriff Brackett can put two and two together and say, hey, the guy who broke in the hardware store is, the guy who took the mask. But then Loomis comes and tells him, oh, hey, this guy just broke out of the damn, mental hospital and he thinks he's in Haddonfield. Now Brackett can be like, hey, I can put this together with the idea that Laurie Strode has been seeing a weird guy all day. Maybe he's after Laurie Strode. Now, Michael is sitting there stalking Laurie Strode, but maybe the cops are actually watching Laurie Strode to see, hey, maybe this guy's after her. We can make sure she's safe. We can catch Michael Myers. Just a lot of things probably happen if Laurie just tells, Brackett, hey, some guy's been after me with a mask on. Maybe not after him, but he's showing up around town. I'm seeing him out every time I stare out the damn window. I see this guy. I think Brackett has enough sense, enough logic. He seems like a good cop. He's gonna put the instincts together, and Laurie Strode's whole night changes, because I don't think Michael gets to Annie. I don't think gets to Linda. Even then, Brackett can put a warning out to both Annie and Laurie, like, hey, this guy's in town, be on the lookout, be careful, because, they're just going about their business babysitting as if there's not a care in the world. And that really ends up killing Linda and Annie, I would say, at least. Obviously, Laurie doesn't die, but all I'm saying is, Laurie Strode, you should have told Brackett that you were seeing Michael Myers or some random mysterious dude throughout the day. The domino effect of that would have probably sent Michael Myers to jail a lot quicker, and it would have probably avoided those events. Or Michael, just seeing the cops around Laurie every day, maybe just gives up and goes into the sewers to get a snack. So, anyways, that's it. Okay, what else can be done to prevent the events of Halloween 1978? Well, obviously the entire, system that, transported Michael, then it didn't put Michael in a maximum security situation, as we saw in a deleted scene in the TV version. Loomis was calling for Michael to be in a maximum security place, and maybe this whole thing doesn't happen with Michael escaping, that night in 1978. But I think Loomis himself, my favorite horror character, my favorite protagonist, the Van Helsing of the Halloween franchise, does have some accountability for what happened that night. And it's a very small thing, but I've been thinking about this. It's come up amongst Halloween fans in the past, but Loomis tells Brackett, not to alert everybody to Michael's presence because he's like, there will be cops on every corner and it'll be such a big deal and they'll be looking for him on every corner. And in hindsight, Loomis, if you think Michael Myers is simply and purely evil, nothing but darkness behind that boy's eyes, if that's how you see the guy, then you're probably thinking he's capable of violence. He's probably there to hurt somebody. So in that scenario, I got to think that alerting the town is probably a good idea because we've seen the results when it happens. Obviously, every time it happens, some of the townspeople put together a mob and go out and try to take on Michael, and that never works out well. Stupid Tommy Doyle, speaking to you from Halloween Kills. But for someone like Annie or someone like Linda or Laurie, if they're made aware that there's potentially a killer on the loose, they're just going to be watching their steps a little bit more. They're going to be mindful of their actions that night. Like I said, Annie was very carelessly not thinking about anything except getting to her boyfriend, Paul. Linda is not thinking about anything like that. Laurie is, just focused on babysitting the kids, but just things change when there's more awareness. When there's potentially a killer out there, everybody's going to act differently. Maybe just staying in the house, maybe not. Maybe they cancel their babysitting thing if they know that there's a killer out there. So many changes can happen by Loomis maybe saying, yes, let's alert the local news that Michael Myers is in town. Let's send out a message on the radio or on the TV or, just make it aware to the town people that you need to be cautious tonight because there's potentially a dangerous person in the neighborhood. I think that would have gone a long way, just saying. Okay, sticking with the original Halloween from 1978, I have seen some fans in the past sometimes question the idea of if Michael had killed Laurie, does he then go after the kids? Remember that Laurie is babysitting Tommy and Lindsay, and does Michael then go after them also? I think the answer is clearly no. And I'm going to say I don't think it's necessarily that Michael has some kind of code where he doesn't kill kids. That's always theorized about with Jason as well. I don't think it's necessarily that. And, in Halloween 2018, Michael does kill what maybe is like a 11 or 12-year-old, and Halloween Kills, he kills some trick-or-treating kid in the costume as well. So I don't think it's necessarily that, but I don't think Michael in 1978 has any inclination or I don't think he's in any way, it's part of what he's looking to do, essentially. And one clear evidence of that is in the middle of the movie, Tommy Doyle runs right into Michael Myers, right outside the school, and Michael holds him for 1 second, and then just lets him go, and Tommy keeps running off. I mean, Michael's more interested in following Tommy to see his connection with Laurie and to help that maybe lead to more information about Laurie and Annie and her friends. But I don't think Michael is going after Tommy and Lindsay. I think he would kill Laurie and then just exit back into the night, maybe go to the sewers, maybe hit up Denny's for, a double stack, I mean, Michael's got to eat, man. I mean, all this running around stalking babysitters, it's got to warm up the appetite. You got to think somewhere during Halloween 1978 that he's not simply just satisfied with eating animals, with eating dead animals around Haddonfield. He wants to go get some pancakes, some extra syrup. Come on, Michael. The food and the mental hospital couldn't have been that good. I know you want a good meal. All right, let's go on to the next thing I want to talk about. Where the hell are Laurie's parents at Halloween 2? I just don't understand. I know that time-wise, this is all one night, but that the events of the original Halloween happened so early in the night that you could have a long period of Halloween 2 of things going by, and it's still not dawn yet. The sun's still not coming up. It just says that the original Halloween, the events may have ended, 11 or 12 o'clock when Michael gets shot 6 times. So now you have 4, 5, 6 hours here of nighttime to continue the events of Halloween 2. But man, are you telling me by Halloween 2, the end of the movie, that Laurie's parents still haven't made it to the hospital? I mean, this is like news. There's news on TV that she's been attacked and that people were killed in Haddonfield. You're telling me nobody has contacted the parents, and the parents are so far away on their drive that they still haven't gotten there? Because I would think that even before they get to their house, the first thing they're doing is driving straight to the hospital to see Laurie. I know that could be a scene we just don't see, but I think that if the parents come to the hospital, they're probably staying with Laurie. I think they're staying in the room, which, not to say that's going to scare Michael off. Michael probably just try to kill the parents too, but if the parents are sitting by the bedside, the mom and dad, maybe Michael does think twice about entering the room. Michael's whole thing in the original Halloween 2, is more about catching people from behind, stalking them from the shadows. He's gonna just walk into a room with two parents sitting by and just kill the parents. I don't know. I mean, he's hell bent on getting to Laurie, but I think we need more of an explanation of where the hell the parents are in Halloween 2. It just makes them seem like the worst parents of all time in terms of still not getting to the hospital to see their daughter who was attacked. I mean, by the end of Halloween 2, that it's been news since the beginning of Halloween 2. It's been at least a couple hours. Come on, what's going on here? Okay, let's talk about Michael Myers in Halloween 2. We have Dick Warlock has taken over the role. Nick Castle, for whatever reason, was busy with other things, did not come back for Halloween 2. So Dick Warlock's going to give his interpretation of Michael Myers, and it's a quite different interpretation. Michael in the first movie, kind of a free-flowing, walks like a normal person, seems pretty normal in his movements. Michael Myers in Halloween 2 definitely does not move or walk like a normal person. He definitely moves. Everybody's talking about the whole robotic thing, which is not inherently bad. There's nothing wrong with him moving that way. He walks very, very slow, very, very calculated in his movements. No wasted movements. It's just straight line efficiency with how Michael moves, like a shark. So I think that's awesome. I like Michael. I like the interpretation of him in Halloween 2, but why is he that way? Why is he suddenly, is there an in character reason we can give of why Michael just moves differently? It's the same night. So how do we explain, again, not a knock on Dick Warlock, but you would think that the movie taking place on the same night would make him watch film footage of Nick Castle and be like, hey, this is the same night. I'm going to need to act exactly like how Michael in the first one did. It didn't seem like that was the case. But is there something in story that can explain why Michael's moving so robotic and slow? I think if we want to get really, really geeky in the weeds about it, we can say that Michael getting shot 6 times has actually forced him to move slowly. He has a physical reason to move because it actually would be more painful for him to move quickly. He literally is not capable in Halloween 2 of moving fast, and that's because the bullets have slowed him down. Maybe he tried walking fast after getting shot and just realized, well, I can barely even move because, he's half human, half shape, whatever you want to call him, but he still bleeds. He still has physical injuries. So maybe him walking that way in Halloween 2 is actually a physical necessity because of the wounds he suffered at the end of the original Halloween. Okay, sticking with Halloween 2, let's talk about Michael's first kill in Halloween 2. He walks over to a neighbor's house. He picks up a knife from the old couple, Miss Elrod, and then he's walking over to their neighbor's house, and he kills this girl named Alice or Allison. And this is kind of a hot take because, it's an interesting kill. I mean, I'll explain why it doesn't really make sense to me, but I do think this kill doesn't make sense from a script standpoint in terms of fitting the character of Michael Myers. The entire first movie, every kill he does is sort of with a purpose. It's somebody he's been stalking, he's been watching. He makes a really deliberate, planned out thing for all his kills. You can say he killed the mechanic on the fly, but that was still with a purpose. He had a reason to do that. That was part of his plan. So then we get to Halloween 2, and I know that an easy explanation might just be that he's pissed off. He's gotten shot 6 times. He's in a rage, so he has to lash out, But the rest of the movie for Halloween 2, for the most part, once he's back to the hospital, he's sort of, again, back to his normal, calm, collective, stalking self. I mean, he's emptying out the hospital in order to make it easy for him to get to Laurie Strode. It's all still in the pursuit of Laurie Strode, so it's not like all over the top, mindless killing just for the sake of killing. There's still a purpose, a rhyme to his reason, a reason for him to kill these people. But this kill with the girl in the first one, in the first few minutes of part 2, It just seems kind of out of character. Seems like, well, I mean, she wasn't somebody you had been stalking for a long time. I mean, you just walk into her house and you kill her very quickly. And I don't know. It doesn't seem like the same Michael from part one would actually do that. It seems like if he had a calculated reason to do that, a story reason of why to kill her, that would make sense. But I don't know. I've been trying to think about what's the story reason. Is it maybe to lure the cops there so that they're distracted while he goes to the hospital? Maybe. I mean, the cops are sort of out and about throughout the entire movie. They're very much aware of him, so they're still looking for him. So I don't know if at that point it's as simple as him being just, I don't think he's thought that far ahead yet that he's going to the hospital. So I don't know if that's it. And also, listen, the kill itself is pretty stupid. I mean, when the girl walks out of the kitchen into the living room, Michael's crouching down and jumps up and kills her out of nowhere. But where she's walking from her peripheral, she should be able to see Michael on the ground crouching there. I don't see where he jumps up from that she can't see him. So the odds of her walking forward out of the kitchen, focusing so much, giving that much attention to what's in front of her, I just don't think Michael's in a position to actually jump up and kill her there. So it's kind of a stupid death anyways. But I also just think it's sort of out of character. Okay, moving on. We're going to talk about Halloween 5 for a moment. I think Rachel Carruthers dying is perfectly fine. I know that she's a very popular character. I love Rachel Carruthers. I loved her in part 4. I thought she was good in the time that she was in part 5. I thought she did a great job. You know, Ellie Cornell acting wise, and then the character herself was solid. But I'm just going to say that I'm okay with her dying. I just wish it would have been more effective, her death. I wish that she would have lasted longer. I wish there would have been more meaning to her death. Jamie Lloyd finds her body at the end, but it's so quick and so much like an afterthought. I feel like the movie needed Jamie to find her body early on to really have that emotional impact sink in. It's kind of thrown out like her just finding the body at the end, and it's in the middle of a chase scene almost, so it's like hard for the audience to feel the emotional weight that Jamie feels from finding Rachel's dead body. So I just think it could have been done much better. And all you had to do really was the way that Tina dies in Halloween 5 is the death you should have gave to Rachel. I would have the same thing play out. I would probably reverse the order. I'd have Tina have that death at the beginning of Halloween 5, have Jamie find Rachel's body at the end, or find Tina's body at the end. So she's given that quick reaction to Tina's death, and have that scene in the cornfield, have that all be Rachel, because the way they did the movie is that Jamie Lloyd has a bigger reaction to Tina's death than she does Rachel's death. She feels more devastated by Tina's death than Rachel's death. And that's just how they wrote the script and did the movie. So a clear fix there could make Halloween 5 a lot more popular amongst fans. Speaking of making Halloween 5 more popular, one of the more unpopular things about the movie is the Man in Black. Sometimes you just having Michael Myers is not enough. You have to have a mysterious Man in Black show up in town, get off the bus, just walk around Haddonfield aimlessly with no explanation, and then show up at the end to bail Michael out of jail and give us a cliffhanger ending that then takes 6 damn years to get to the next movie. One of the worst cliffhanger endings of all time. But is there a way to make the Men in Black salvageable, interesting, and again, make Halloween 5 more popular if they did it this way? I think so. Very simply, if you're going to tease us with the Men in Black throughout part 5 in little doses, at the end, you need to not do the stupid cliffhanger where, hey, 6 years later, we're going to reveal to you who the Man in Black is. You have to tell us at the end of 5, show us. Forget the explanation. We don't need an explanation. Just show us who the damn Man in Black is. Leave it up to the scriptwriter for the next one to come up with the explanation. But have him unmask at the end. First of all, show that whole police station massacre. I want to physically see him come in there, shoot up the police station, open the bars. I want him and Michael to give a high five. Mikey to say, "Thank you, Man in Black. I've been waiting for you the whole time. I didn't even take my mask off and comfortable because I knew you were coming." Have that interaction. Maybe not that explanation, but not that interaction, but just show us that ending, and then have the Man in Black reveal himself. And who is the Man in Black? Does it matter who it is? It does sort of matter, because ideally, if we're just showing him to who he is and then we're just cutting to black, it has to be somebody the audience recognizes. It has to be a character from early in the franchise, because if it's just somebody we don't know, then you really actually need an explanation in the moment. Okay, who could it be that we know? Well, what about Sheriff Brackett? Maybe he never got over the death of his daughter. He blames the town for it so much that he wants to help Michael. out of the jail cell so that Michael can kill more people. Ah, maybe. All right, there's not too many great choices if it's gonna be somebody recognizable. Maybe Tommy Doyle, but at this point we don't have a visual what you know teenage Tommy Doyle would look like. Okay, there's one way you can do it where you make it where somebody who wasn't recognizable to the audience. Okay, he takes off the mask. Sheriff Meeker comes in, the last person alive at the police station, because we need to see what happens to Sheriff Meeker anyways. So he comes in with the gun. He sees the man in black without the mask on, without the hat on. He just sees who it is. And Sheriff Meeker's last words before he gets blown away has to be identifying who the man in black is. So he can be like coming with a gun, and he just like lowers the gun in shock and says, Ben Tramer's father. Boom! Sheriff Meeker gets blown away. Or, Tommy Doyle, boom! Sheriff Meeker gets blown away. He has to basically just say the name before he gets blown away. And now the audience with the name can connect the dots. But you can make Halloween 5 so much better by giving us more explanation on the Man in Black. Yeah, wasted opportunity. It is what it is. Okay, moving on to Halloween H2O. You know, I've done a big, long video about Halloween H2O, kind of going in the weeds about that. But two things I may have talked about, may have not talked about. One thing is that I don't like, I mean, I've said many times, I don't like that Dr. Loomis left the damn Laurie Strode file in a cabinet that could be found in the house. So when Michael breaks in the house and kills Miriam, you know, him just going into one room, ransacking the room, finding a folder that says Laurie Strode on it. Now the whole thing is a dead giveaway. Michael Myers is able to travel, you know, to California. He knows Laurie's fake identity now, Carrie Tate. All the information he knows about based on finding that file. I just feel like Loomis, it kind of sells Loomis down the river, because I feel like he would have had a file that had a different name on it. He would have done enough to be like, okay, if Michael ever finds these folders, I'm going to make him have to dig through every single folder to find what he's looking for. There's not going to be him looking through 10 folders, and on the 11th folder he says, oh, the Laurie Strode folder. This is amazing. Thank you, Dr. Loomis. You made it so easy. You color code the files. You put our name right here. I just feel like that was kind of bad writing or making Loomis look incompetent. He has one job at the end, is to make sure that Michael Myers never finds Laurie Strode's identity. I've theorized on why that could be the case. Maybe it's more Miriam's fault. Maybe Loomis had the files somewhere locked in a safe, but then when he died, maybe they sent those files to Miriam's house and she wasn't thinking about Laurie Strode. She just put the files there. But I just think that the file would have probably had a different name on it. Speaking of Halloween H2O, in the file, the Laurie Strode file, did it say that she had a son? Did it talk about John Tate? Because Halloween H2O tries to make a story-wise, they try to make the idea that Michael is traveling there with the motivation to kill John Tate. Like Laurie looks at her fireplace, she realizes that John recently turned 17, and she puts together the idea that, hey, I was attacked when I was 17, now Michael's here because John is 17. But that seems like it's all bullshit. I mean, I don't see anything in the movie that makes me think that Michael is there to kill John Tate or even cares about John Tate. To me, his main focus is still to get Laurie Strode. He knows she works at the campus, so he's there to get her. I don't think the movie really shows enough to show that he's like so pressed on getting to John Tate. He's just, to me, treats him as one of the random teenagers who just happened to be there. He's clearing the campus so he can go at Laurie alone. And John Tate could have easily gotten that damn bus to go to Yosemite in the first place. So Michael was about if he was after John Tate, then if he's watching and listening to the story-wise, what's going on story-wise, eavesdropping on the conversations, he damn sure he might be on the way to Yosemite to get John there. So, I mean, it's just pure coincidence that John happened to be one of the 4 people that happened to stay behind at the school. But I just think that Michael doesn't care about John Tate, and I think that's proven even furthermore in Halloween Resurrection, because he kills Laurie, and then he just goes home and retires. He retires back to the Myers house with a plan to catch up on the last couple of seasons of Squid Game. Michael just wants to go home and chill, but of course he has to kill all the Dangertainment fools who have taken over his house. But there's no thought in his mind that, hey, I got to go after John Tate now. So that tells me that Michael never gave a damn about John Tate in the first place. Okay, one note about Rob Zombie's Halloween, which I don't talk about a lot. I just don't have that much to say about it. But I do want to say that I think the entire Rob Zombie's first original prequel, now part two, you can do whatever you want with, of course. But I think that original Rob Zombie's Halloween movie, the whole thing should have been with child teen Michael Myers. I think once you get past the 85 cuss words in the first 5 minutes, the first 15, 20, 30 minutes, I think it's the most intriguing stuff in the movie, just especially when you get to the hospital. You have a great actor, Malcolm McDowell, playing Dr. Loomis. The relationship between him and Michael there, their therapy sessions, Michael, his sort of change of behavior in different scenes. And the kid actor who plays Michael does an amazing job. He's really, really captivating. I would just ride that out the entire movie because that fits into stuff we don't know about the Halloween franchise, which is like that entire, whatever 7 year period where Loomis spent with Michael. You had a good kid actor, you had a good actor playing Loomis. Just make it a psychological horror drama. You can throw in every couple of scenes, Michael goes crazy and kills one of their inmates. So you can still have a body count and have slasher things, but I think the movie kind of loses a lot when you get to the remake portion where you're just focusing now on Laurie Strode and, adult Michael and all that. I would just love that movie just to be focused on the Michael as a kid, in the mental hospital dealing with Loomis, his teen years. I think it's a wasted opportunity. Okay, going now to Halloween 2018. This is going to be maybe a hot take, but I would have killed one of the Strode sisters or family members. I guess you have Laurie Strode, her daughter, and then the granddaughter. I would have killed one of them in Halloween 2018. If I thought there was going to be a sequel, or even I didn't think there was going to be a sequel, if I thought potentially it's going to be a standalone film, I still would have killed off somebody in that first Halloween 2018. And when you think about who that's going to be, it's kind of true that it has to be Karen. It has to be Karen. And the reason is because you don't want to kill Allison because that's a little bit too tragic. And also, you want Allison potentially to have a seed where maybe she's going to take over and carry the torch of the franchise. And you can't kill off Jamie Lee Curtis because she's your box office star power. So if there's a sequel, you got to have Jamie Lee Curtis. No matter what the damn movie is in the sequel, you got to have a trailer advertising another battle between Michael and Laurie, even if it doesn't even, the movie's even not about that, like Halloween Ends. You still got to promote the movie that way. So Karen is the odd woman out. And I think there's an easy way to do it. I think that strictly, Allison has a mother and father, of course. And I mean, it sucks that she'll lose her mom, of course. But you could build more time in the movie also focusing on a relationship with her dad. Her dad kind of got shortchanged in the movie. He's goofy as hell with some of the stupidest forced comedic lines ever. And then when he gets killed by Michael, it seems like nobody gives a damn. Allison comes in the house. She sees her mom. She's hanging out with her mom. There's an entire section there where not once does she say, "Where's dad? What happened to dad?" That's Karen's husband is the father, and she doesn't even ask, like, where the hell's my husband at? It's like, I don't know. I would have spent more time developing the father, had that be a thing, and then Karen gets killed, and in the sequels, you can build up the father even more then, because now he's trying to avenge his dead wife, and also you can try to build somewhat of a connection between Laurie Strode and her stepson. So, and you just have more emotional weight because Halloween 2018 doesn't really have impactful kills. Again, you didn't build the father enough to where anybody cares when he dies. They didn't care in the story, and the damn audience didn't care either. And then you had Vicky the babysitter, who everybody latches onto, but she wasn't a well-developed character. It's just, we saw her for 3 scenes. It's just that in comparison to the rest of the movie, it feels like she is this great character because you spent more than 10 minutes with her. You spent about 12 minutes with her, but it's only 3 scenes. She wasn't that amazing. It's just that it was that thing with Scream 6 where the character, what's her face? Anna something. Whoever what's her face's roommate was that got killed by falling off the scaffold thing, right? The thing, the walk across the apartment thing where Ghostface kills her. Annalena, Annika, maybe Annika. Everybody's like, oh my God, that was such an emotional kill. And I'm like, the bar's been lowered dramatically. Like, these are characters who we see for 2 scenes and then they're killed, but then because there's no other impactful kills in the movie, you latch on to whatever impact kill you can find, and then you over-exaggerate how impactful or how great the character was. That's the case here with Victor the Babysitter. Karen was developed enough where her dying would have been an impactful kill. I just think it would have been interesting, and I think that, hey, why not? Now, okay, so that's all I have for today. Hot takes and theories, part two. Of course, if you guys have any more theories, hot takes that you want me to address, or your own hot takes and theories, or just want to respond to my hot takes and theories, please do so in the comments. Hit the like button. Please subscribe if you have not. Until next time, you guys take care.